Hey guys, it's Sydney. Um, I'm here live and in color from the store, but I just wanted to take a moment to talk to you guys about the runes. My class is coming up in February, and a lot of the classes that I'm teaching at the store are talking about Norse mythology, working with the Norse pantheon, talking to those gods, whether it be Odin, Frigg, Freya, Freyr, Loki, or any of those gods. I'm pretty much creating content and also creating classes around Norse mythology as well as runes. So I thought I would kind of talk to you guys a little bit about runes for me and kind of like how I came to the runes. Kind of over time, I've been having a little bit of like flashbacks about ways and which I like kind of forgot that runes were kind of always around me, and I just like hadn't picked up on it at first. But I wanted to talk about it because a lot of people have given me feedback that like, runes don't really call to me. Runes don't have a way of speaking to me because they're these weird angular symbols, and I'm trying to kind of learn tarot, or I want to learn cartomancy and things like that. To me, that's all well and good. I feel like runes didn't like call out to me like it does now that I'm older. I feel like it called out to me more when I was younger, and I honestly didn't really realize it. So I wanted to talk about that and basically how I kind of build my relationship up when it came to runes. Because for me, I think with a lot of people who work with runes predominantly will kind of say this too, that they're not a divination system that is very prevalent. I think it's more talked about now in the last maybe 5 to 6 years because we have shows like Vikings. I feel like because more people are like in love with the stories of Ragnar Lothbrok, and more people have more connection with like Jackson Crawford, and his content on the runes or just Old Norse in general. I feel as though because of that, it's kind of had this revitalization. You know what I mean? Like it's become more of a thing. You know what I mean? I feel 9 times out of 10, I'm seeing more people, at least in our pagan community here in the Midwest, having more of the Asatru vibe or the Valknut symbol like in their profile, or they say like Hail Odin, Hail the All Father, Hail Frigga, Hail the All Mother, and things like that, you know? So I feel like we can kind of now in the last 10 years can kind of talk more about it because there is more shows talking about it. There is more of a connection that people can have to it. Whereas I'll say when I was like in my early teens or mid-teens, there wasn't a lot of information on it unless you read books, the books by like Lisa Rochelle, I believe, or like Ralph Bloom, who made the most prevalent book on the runes, okay, and talked about, the 25th rune. But kind of the connection I had with runes actually started from Wicca. One of my first books that I picked up on Wicca was, Scott Cunningham's Solitary Practice for, a solitary witch. So I bought that book, and kind of now that I've like kind of gone back and read that book over, I noticed that the last part of the book actually had runes on there. And I vividly remember when I would have like really bad days at school, I would actually write Wunyo on my wrist as a way of, simple folk magic to basically, understand that symbol and work with it. And then it just kind of maybe became lost information to me. Then I will say probably around the time I was probably early 20s, I'll say, I started getting into my Tumblr account at the time, and I had actually met somebody who had like the Valknut symbol as like the profile picture. And I actually asked them like a lot of questions, like, what is that symbol and what does it mean? Because I've never seen a symbol like that. I feel like as most witches, as you do, I had like a big, I was always intrigued when it came to symbolism. So to see these 3 triangles, all in order like that, so aligned, I asked him what it was. And I do remember him kind of commenting and talking to me about Asatru and that religion and how it worked. And again, I kind of like fell off the path and just didn't see runes for a long time until I went to another New Age store, and they ended up having the amethyst styled runes. And I felt like I should have bought them, but I had this like slight hesitation because I thought, maybe I'm not meant to take those, because I think those belong to people who actually have that kind of blood in them. And I think, especially now that I teach runes, I've also had, I've also had a DNA test that brought back that I did actually have some ancestry with maybe a Viking or maybe Anglo-Saxon or such, which I feel like a lot of people inherently do. But I feel like as a woman of color and as a Black woman, it's more prevalent and more of a reason for me to teach runes because I have it. And most, we'll say more hateful type of groups would not include me into a blot or would not invite me to a blot because of my skin tone, even though that's in my bloodline. So I feel as though when it came to runes, no, I definitely did not have an inclination to like go forth and grab them and to get used to them. But I feel as though it's not like tarot, which has like all these popular images for it. I don't feel like it's like Oracle, which has like this, it's up to you what you feel. You know what I mean? I definitely feel that runes for me is a divinatory language, just like tarot. I don't think they're the same, but I definitely think that they do have a language system in place, and that is the way we understand them. But I do feel like, certain people who talk about runes now, like Freya Oswin or Diana L. Paxson, these are kind of the people that we have like actual books about runes now because of them and because of their practice. I will also say too, as somebody who teaches the runes class, I will not tolerate any type of, neo-Nazism. I will not tolerate any form of hate in my classes. And I also don't believe that, my specific belief is that you do not have to work with those gods like Frigga, Freya, Odin, Loki, Thor, and all of them in order to work with these runes. If anything, that's not always a part of it. But do I feel like if you have a better understanding of who Odin, Frigga, Freya, Loki, and Thor, do I feel like that would help you? Yes. Because even if you don't work with deity, you can at least understand that you are working with a system that's created and crafted around those gods. You know what I mean? So while I feel like, again, you do not have to work with those gods in order to understand it, I do feel like it maybe helps, because I feel like having knowledge, kind of like Odin would want us to have, makes it a lot easier for us to understand things. So again, having background. Also too, I will also say that runes is not something that's easy to pick up, because I think a lot of people feel like they have to have a specific rune set. A lot of like books I've read over the last few years talk more about like how they need to be, they need to use like red, in the symbols. They need to be made of bone or wood, just weird gatekeeping, you know what I mean? Things like that, which is kind of no different than like tarot. Usually with tarot cards, people think that you have to have somebody gift them to you. And I was one of those people that believed that too. But again, these are gatekeeping beliefs that kind of keep you know, the new generation of witches or the new generation of shamans or anybody who wants to be a part of these different forms of the craft or different divination systems, it keeps you away from trying. It keeps you from feeling as though that you can be a part or that you can at least, you know, learn about it. I will also say too, a lot of people that I know who use runes, I don't know, they're just like, even as me, as somebody who uses runes, I just like learning different divination systems. Rune speaks to me almost easier than tarot sometimes. Can I read tarot and am I proficient in tarot? Definitely, absolutely. I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. But when it comes to runes, for me, it slaps you in the face a little bit harder. It's a lot more meaningful. So there are other ways that I've learned how to adapt using runes. And I've actually been using rune cards because cards are kind of where I started when it came to divination, by using something tangible that I can touch. It wasn't until this last year or so that I actually made my own rune set. And I still have like other rune sets that I use, but prevalently, or if I'm doing a reading for somebody, 9 times out of 10, I'm using cards. So overall, I feel as though people are more apprehensive to learn this divination system because of gatekeeping. I think because there's so much neo-Nazism, white supremacy that surrounds it. People feel like, oh, maybe I'm learning such a hateful language and, you know, maybe I shouldn't be learning that. I feel like sometimes too, people think that they can't learn these angular symbols, but kind of like trial and error, kind of like a lot of studying and maybe just, you know, looking at more information, you'll see runes do have a system and do speak to you. It just takes time. I don't feel like it's overnight, kind of like the images of the high priestess, but kind of like the hangman in tarot that is our original Allfather Odin, who gives himself up to himself in order to learn the language of the runes. And a lot of people just, maybe some people are afraid of that, and that's okay. You don't have to want to learn immediately. That's okay. But I feel like if you want to learn, go ahead. There shouldn't be anything stopping you. You know what I mean? Just open yourself up to the runes to really understand that this is just another divinatory language that you can use for your practice or even spell work. A lot of the times I use runes in my candle magic. I use runes when I'm wood burning. I use runes when I'm like making like a dedication to a god. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I work with runes. That doesn't have to be your tea. That's just my tea. You know what I mean? So hopefully anyone who's like looking into runes feel a little bit better about it. I just wanted to kind of speak my truth because I feel like as a teacher and somebody who works with runes, I would like people to feel less apprehensive and more open to the possibility of learning runes. Even if you don't use it later, it's always another form of the journey of the spiral path, you know? So I hope that kind of helps you guys. I hope maybe you've taken something from this that you can put into your own practice. I hope maybe you decide to pick up runes, and if not, that's okay too. So I'm gonna get off of here and sign off for the evening. Blessed be everyone. Have a great night.